I can't find my luck dragon. So I won't be able to get beyond the boundaries of Fantasia.
Call my name. Please.
Those delicious rocks are the reason we camped here, all right?
One boy, one mythical book, one endless quest in a collapsing world. The NeverEnding Story felt like a childhood fantasy.
They look like big, good, strong hands.
But behind the Empress and Fellroll, the real story is even stranger. Here are 20 weird, wild, and secret facts that most fans, including seasoned fantasy buffs, definitely didn't know. Number 1. It was Germany's first $27 million epic. When The NeverEnding Story was released in 1984, it shattered records for German cinema. At a staggering 60 million Deutsche Mark, around 27 million USD at the time, it became the most expensive film ever produced in Germany. This was a massive gamble, as no German film had ever attempted such Hollywood-level production values. The budget covered elaborate sets like the Swamp of Sadness, cutting-edge animatronics for creatures like Falkor,
I'm a luck dragon. My name is Falkor.
and extensive special effects that were groundbreaking for a European production. Director Wolfgang Petersen pushed for a level of quality that matched American blockbusters, despite the financial risks. The investment paid off. The movie grossed around $100 million worldwide, turning it into an international success. For Germany, this wasn't just a fantasy film. It was proof that they could produce a global hit that stood toe-to-toe with Hollywood's biggest releases. Number 2. The author called his film Revolting. Michael Ende, the author of the NeverEnding Story novel, was furious with how the movie adapted his work. At first, he collaborated with the filmmakers, but as production went on, he felt the story was being distorted for commercial purposes. He strongly disliked the changes, particularly the tone and visuals, which he believed betrayed the spirit of his book. Ende was so upset that he demanded his name be removed from the credits, calling the final product Revolting. He even tried to stop the release through legal action but lost the case. To him, the movie reduced a philosophical, poetic tale into what he described as empty spectacle. Ironically, while Ende disowned it, the film became a beloved cult classic worldwide.
Why don't you do what you dream, Bastion? But I can't. I have to keep my feet on the ground.
His outrage only adds to the movie's legend, making this fantasy story as dramatic behind the scenes as it was on screen. If you're enjoying this so far, hit that like button and subscribe for more awesome movie facts. And tell us in the comments, what movie brings you the most nostalgia, and which one should we cover next? Number 3. The author was embarrassed by the strippers. One of Michael Ende's harshest criticisms targeted the Sphinx statues in the film. In the movie, these giant golden guardians fire deadly energy beams at travelers who fail their test of courage. However, Ende found their design absurd, calling them full-bosomed strippers with guns. He believed they were overly sexualized, distracting from the mystical and dangerous aura he described in his book. The statue's exaggerated appearance became one of the most debated creative choices in the entire film. While some fans see them as iconic fantasy elements, others agree with Ende that they clash with the story's tone. Regardless of opinion, the Sphinxes became an unforgettable part of the movie's imagery. This controversy is a perfect example of how creative liberties taken during adaptation can divide authors and filmmakers, creating tension that still fascinates fans decades later. Number 4. Atrau Was Difficult behind the scenes. While fans adored Noah Hathaway's performance as Atrau, working with him wasn't always easy. Special effects director Brian Johnson later admitted that Hathaway could be a pain in the arse during filming. The young actor was strong-willed, often questioning direction and refusing to do things he didn't like, which slowed down production at times. Director Wolfgang Petersen, known for his perfectionism, frequently clashed with him over retakes and the demanding physical scenes. Despite the behind-the-scenes tension, Hathaway's performance came through on-screen, giving Atrau the determination and courage that made him such a memorable hero.
No, you didn't fail. I'm the one who failed. I was the one chosen to stop the nothing.
Interestingly, Barrett Oliver, who played Bastion, was described as the complete opposite, cooperative and easy to direct. The contrast between the two young stars' attitudes became a running joke among the crew. In the end, Hathaway's fiery personality may have helped fuel Atrau's intense presence in the film. Number 5. Some scenes took 40 takes to film. Director Wolfgang Petersen was infamous for his perfectionist approach during the making of the NeverEnding Story. He believed every shot needed to capture the exact tone and emotion, no matter how long it took. For some of the most dramatic moments, such as the Swamp of Sadness or Morla's eerie cave, he demanded endless retakes, sometimes as many as 40 takes for a single scene. This relentless pursuit of detail frustrated the cast, especially the young actors, who spent hours repeating emotional lines or reactions. However, Petersen's efforts paid off, as these scenes became some of the film's most haunting and unforgettable moments.
Artax, please. You're letting the sadness of the swamps get to you.
The atmosphere he created through countless retakes gave Fantasia its dreamlike, immersive quality. Though exhausting at the time, this meticulous directing style helped turn the movie into the visually and emotionally powerful classic it's remembered as today. Number 6. It took 7 weeks to teach a horse to drown. The heartbreaking Swamp of Sadness scene where Artax sinks into the mud was one of the most complex and emotional sequences to film. To pull it off safely, trainers had to spend 7 weeks preparing the horse to remain calm as it slowly descended into the swamp set. The effect was achieved using a hydraulic platform that gently lowered the animal, while Noah Hathaway acted out Atreyus' desperate struggle. The training ensured the horse wouldn't panic or try to swim, which could have been dangerous. Even with these precautions, Hathaway described filming the scene as emotionally exhausting, since he had to cry repeatedly while watching the animal disappear into the muck. The crew also found the sequence tough to watch, as it looked disturbingly real.
Artax! Stupid horse! You gotta move or you'll die!
This painstaking preparation created one of the most iconic and gut-wrenching moments in 1980s fantasy cinema. Number 7. 2 horses played Artax, and both survived. For years, a persistent rumor claimed the horse playing Artax died during filming, adding to the scene's tragic reputation. In reality, 2 identical gray horses were used to portray Artax, and both were perfectly fine. The production took great care to ensure the animal's safety, especially during the swamp sequence. The hydraulic platform was designed so the horse would never be in real danger, and trainers supervised every moment. After filming wrapped, one of the horses was supposed to be gifted to Noah Hathaway as a thank you, but strict transport regulations and high costs prevented it from leaving Germany. Despite the disappointment, Hathaway remembered the horse fondly and often debunked the death myth in interviews. Knowing both animals were safe makes the swamp scene no less emotional, but at least fans can rest easy about Artax's real-life fate. Number 8. Atrau got a tan in a salon for the role. In Michael Ende's novel, Atrau is described as having green skin, something the filmmakers initially tried to replicate with makeup. However, every attempt to paint Noah Hathaway's skin looked unnatural on camera. After several failed tests, the production abandoned the green skin idea, but still wanted Atrau to have a more exotic appearance. Their solution was unusual. They sent Hathaway to a tanning salon to give him a darker, sun-kissed tone. Combined with his warrior costume and long hair, the tan helped create the rugged, adventurous look they were aiming for. Hathaway later joked that during filming, he looked like fungi when they experimented with makeup and was relieved when they chose the simpler solution. This odd behind-the-scenes decision shows just how far the crew went to match the novel's descriptions while still keeping things visually appealing on screen. Number 9. Falkor was a 43-foot animatronic beast. Falkor the Luck Dragon remains one of the most iconic creatures in fantasy film history, and bringing him to life was a massive technical achievement. The puppet measured 43 feet long and required a steel frame covered with over 6,000 hand-glued plastic scales and soft feather-like fur to give him a friendly, dreamlike appearance. Inside, a complex system of motors controlled his facial expressions, allowing him to blink, move his mouth, and even wag his tail. Several puppeteers worked together to operate Falkor's head and body during filming, coordinating movements to make him seem alive. The sheer size of the animatronic meant scenes with him were time-consuming to shoot, but the effort paid off. Falkor's warm personality and lifelike movements made him unforgettable.
I was trying to
Sneak away. I like children.
Helping the film capture a magical quality that CGI simply couldn't replicate in the 1980s. Number 10. The Auran prop now hangs in Spielberg's office. The Auren, the mystical amulet that guides Atrau through Fantasia, is one of the most recognizable symbols from the NeverEnding Story. After production wrapped, director Wolfgang Petersen gifted the original Auren prop to his friend Steven Spielberg as a token of appreciation. Spielberg had assisted in editing the US version of the film, helping tighten its pacing for American audiences. The prop was placed in a glass display case and still hangs in Spielberg's office today, where it's become a prized piece of movie history. For fans, knowing the Auren survived and is preserved by one of cinema's greatest directors adds to its legend. It's fitting that a story about a magical object that grants wishes ended up in the hands of a filmmaker whose career has felt just as magical. Number 11. Spielberg helped edit the film. When the NeverEnding Story was being prepared for its US release, Wolfgang Petersen sought help from his close friend, Steven Spielberg. At the time, Spielberg was already a Hollywood powerhouse, known for his work on E.T. and Indiana Jones. He offered advice on pacing, structure, and how to make certain scenes resonate better with American audiences. While Spielberg didn't drastically alter the film, his input helped tighten its runtime and improve the emotional flow. Petersen was so grateful for his assistance that he gifted Spielberg the original Auren prop as a thank you. This collaboration gave the movie an extra touch of Hollywood polish without compromising its European charm. Spielberg's subtle influence is one reason the film felt so magical to audiences worldwide. Number 12. Missing scenes included Eigram and the Wind Giants. Early drafts of the NeverEnding Story included several creatures and events from Michael Ende's novel that never made it to the final cut. Among the most notable were Eigram the Many, a terrifying shape-shifting insect-like monster, and a battle against 4 massive wind giants. Both sequences were either filmed or partially designed, but were ultimately removed during editing, likely due to budget limitations and time constraints. Their absence explains why some transitions in the movie feel abrupt, especially when Falor suddenly appears to rescue Atrau without much buildup. Fans who've read the book often notice these missing elements, as they were key moments in Atrau's journey. The lost scenes have become part of the film's mystery, leaving fans to imagine what these epic encounters might have looked like on screen. Number 13. The film only covers half the book. Many fans don't realize that the 1984 movie adapts only the first half of Michael Ende's novel. The film ends around chapter 13, leaving out the entire second half, where Bastion becomes a major character within Fantasia, facing trials that test his desires and identity. Wolfgang Petersen chose to stop the story at the childlike Empress, giving Bastion the power to rebuild Fantasia, believing it made for a stronger cinematic conclusion.
And there will be no Fantasia anymore.
This decision upset Ende, who felt the deeper themes of the book were lost. Later sequels attempted to adapt parts of the remaining story, but strayed far from the original source. As a result, the first movie stands as a self-contained tale, while the novel continues into much darker, more complex territory that most viewers never see. Number 14. Bastion's real-world scenes were shot in Vancouver. While most of the NeverEnding Story was filmed at Bavaria Studios in Germany, the real-world sequences were shot far away in Vancouver, Canada. Locations like Gastown and its famous steam clock appear during the scenes where Bastion is chased by bullies. The filmmakers chose Vancouver because it could easily pass as a generic North American city, making the movie more relatable to international audiences. These outdoor shots were blended seamlessly with the German studio work, so many viewers never noticed the geographical switch. For locals, spotting familiar streets in a fantasy classic has become a fun bit of trivia. This mix of European sets and Canadian locations added to the film's unique atmosphere, bridging the magical world of Fantasia with a believable real-world backdrop. Number 15. Limahal's theme was a global smash, except in Germany. The movie's theme song, performed by Kajagoogoo's Limahl, became an instant 80s hit around the world. The NeverEnding Story reached the top 20 in the US, hit number 1 in Sweden and Norway, and climbed charts across Europe. Its catchy synth-pop sound and dreamy vocals perfectly captured the movie's magical tone, making it one of the most memorable theme songs of the decade. However, German audiences never heard it in theaters. In Germany, the film's original release replaced Limahl's track with purely orchestral music to keep a more serious fantasy mood. As a result, the iconic song wasn't part of the German movie experience until later home video and international versions. This unusual difference surprised many fans and remains a quirky piece of trivia about how the film was marketed differently around the world. Number 16. A Treyus actor became a tattoo artist by demand. After his role as Atreyu, Noah Hathaway stepped away from acting and pursued various careers, eventually becoming a professional tattoo artist. What's interesting is how often fans requested tattoos related to the NeverEnding Story. The most popular design, the Orin symbol from the movie. Hathaway has said that during his early tattooing days, he inked the Orin on fans repeatedly, sometimes doing over a dozen in just a few weeks. Many people wanted the design as a tribute to their childhood and the lessons from the film. Hathaway embraced the connection, enjoying how the movie continued to impact people decades later. It's rare for a child star to stay so closely linked to a role, but through his tattoos, Hathaway literally left a permanent mark on fans who grew up loving Fantasia. Number 17. Atreyu's green look was a makeup disaster. In Michael Ende's novel, Atreyu is described as having green skin, and the filmmakers initially wanted to stay true to this detail. Makeup artists experimented with various shades and techniques, attempting to give Noah Hathaway an olive green tint. Unfortunately, the results looked unnatural and even unsettling on camera. Hathaway later joked that the tests made him look like fungi, far from the heroic warrior they envisioned. After several failed attempts, the idea was scrapped completely, and the production went with a more natural skin tone. This abandoned concept remains a fascinating what if about how different Atreyu could have appeared in the movie. Number 18. Filming took place during Germany's hottest summer in 25 years. Production on the NeverEnding Story faced brutal conditions during the summer of 1983, which turned out to be Germany's hottest in 25 years. Most of the movie was shot at Bavaria Studios, where the heat inside the sound stages became almost unbearable. Cast and crew worked long hours in heavy costumes and under intense studio lighting, making the conditions even worse. The swamp sets, which were filled with water and mud, became particularly stifling. Despite the discomfort, everyone pushed through to complete the film. The extreme heat added unexpected challenges, but also gave Fantasia's landscapes a vivid, sun-drenched look on camera. Number 19. Tammy Stronach thought she was auditioning for a play. Tammy Stronach, who played the childlike Empress, was only 11 years old when she landed the role that would make her a cult icon. At the time, she was primarily focused on dance and theater, so when she was asked to audition, she assumed it was for a small stage production. To her surprise, she was cast as one of the most pivotal characters in a large-scale fantasy movie. Stronach later said she had no idea the film would reach such international success or that her haunting performance would be remembered decades later.
He doesn't understand that he's the one who has the power to stop it. He simply can't imagine.
Although she didn't continue acting in major films, her brief role left a lasting impression. Fans still recognize her as the timeless face of Fantasia's magic, proving sometimes a single performance can define an entire career. Number 20. Artax and Morla's scenes took 2 months to film. Two of the movie's most memorable sequences, the heartbreaking death of Artax in the Swamp of Sadness and Atreyu's eerie encounter with Morla, the ancient turtle, were also the most time-consuming to shoot. These scenes required massive sets, complex hydraulics, and extensive puppet work, which slowed production considerably.
We don't care.
If I don't save her, she'll die! There's a terrible nothing sweeping over the land!
The swamp was built as a giant tank filled with mud and water, complete with a hydraulic platform to lower the horse safely. Filming the emotional performance demanded endless takes, and Noah Hathaway had to repeatedly cry on cue, which left him drained. The Morla scene presented its own challenges, with puppeteers controlling the massive turtle while Hathaway interacted with it in thick, sticky mud.
It matters. But yes.
Please help me, Morla.
The combination of mechanical effects, practical sets, and emotional acting stretched the filming to nearly 2 months just for these sequences. The hard work paid off. These moments became iconic, leaving an unforgettable emotional mark on audiences worldwide.
What's the matter? What's wrong?
That's The NeverEnding Story, a film full of magic on screen and unbelievable stories behind the scenes. From lost creatures to heated sets and legendary props, these facts show Fantasia was as wild to make as it was to watch. If you enjoyed these, hit like, subscribe, and share your favorite memory of the movie in the comments.